You finally make $100,000 a year. For years, that number felt like a finish line. You imagined what life would look like when you got there. A better house, a nicer car, more vacations, less stress, more money in the bank. Maybe you even imagined finally being able to stop worrying about every little expense. Then it happens. You get the promotion. Your salary crosses six figures. Your friends congratulate you. Your family is proud. You look at your first bigger paycheck and think, I finally made it. But then something strange happens. A year passes, and you're still checking your bank account before making big purchases. You're still waiting for payday. You're still worried about unexpected bills. You're still telling yourself that you'll start investing more after the next raise, and somehow, $100,000 doesn't feel rich anymore. In fact, for some people, it barely feels comfortable. So what happened? Did the money disappear? Did everything become more expensive? Or did something more subtle happen? Because there is a financial trap that appears right around the time your income starts getting better. And the trap isn't simply spending too much. It's something much harder to notice. Your definition of normal changes. Meet Michael. He's 37 years old. He has a good career. He's married. He has 2 children. And for most of his 20s, Michael dreamed about making 6 figures. When he was earning $50,000, he thought, if I could just make $75,000, everything would be easier. Then he reached $75,000, and something interesting happened. Life did get better. He could afford nicer groceries. He could take better vacations. He could save more. But after a while, $75,000 stopped feeling special. Then he got another promotion. His income climbed to $90,000. And once again, he thought, once I reach $100,000, I'll finally feel financially comfortable. That number became a psychological target. $100,000. It sounded like success. It sounded like security. It sounded like freedom. And eventually, Michael got there. His annual salary crossed $100,000. He celebrated. His coworkers congratulated him. His wife was excited. But there was one problem. His life had already changed before the raise arrived. A few years earlier, Michael lived in a modest apartment. His car was 5 years old. He cooked at home most nights. He had a few subscriptions. Vacations were simple. He didn't think much about lifestyle. Then his income increased, and every increase seemed reasonable. First, he moved into a nicer apartment. Then, when he got married, they bought a house. The house was more expensive than anything Michael had ever owned, but the bank approved the mortgage. So he told himself, we can't afford it. Then came the SUV. The old car still worked, but with 2 children, the larger vehicle seemed practical. The monthly payment was manageable, so again, we can afford it. Then came childcare, insurance, higher utilities, home maintenance, new furniture, more expensive vacations, better restaurants, streaming services, gym memberships, phone upgrades, school expenses, weekend activities for the children. None of these decisions were outrageous. That's what makes the trap so powerful. Nothing looked financially irresponsible. Michael wasn't buying sports cars every year. He wasn't gambling. He wasn't spending thousands of dollars on designer clothes. He was simply living what felt like a normal middle-class life. But that normal life had become extremely expensive. This is where the $100,000 salary trap begins. When your income is low, you're forced to think carefully about money. You ask, do I really need this? Can I afford that? Should I save this money instead? But when your income increases, those questions become less uncomfortable. You stop asking, can I afford it? And start asking, why wouldn't I? That's a completely different question. A $6 coffee doesn't feel like a problem. A $200 dinner doesn't feel outrageous. A $700 car payment doesn't seem impossible. A $3,000 vacation doesn't seem irresponsible. A slightly bigger house seems reasonable. And because each individual decision appears manageable, you don't notice what's happening to your total monthly expenses. Your lifestyle quietly expands until it consumes your raise. And then your raise becomes your new baseline. Imagine 2 people. Both earn $100,000 a year. Both are intelligent. both work hard, both have similar careers, but one person has built a lifestyle that costs $65,000 a year. The other has built a lifestyle that costs almost $100,000. Who is richer? The answer isn't determined by salary. It's determined by the gap. The first person has roughly $35,000 of income available for taxes, savings, investing, emergencies, and future goals before accounting for those obligations. The second person has almost no margin, and that's the hidden power of income, not how much you earn. How much of what you earn remains uncommitted, because money that is already committed isn't really giving you freedom. It's giving you obligations. Michael eventually noticed something uncomfortable. His salary had doubled from where he started, but his financial anxiety hadn't disappeared. In some ways, it had increased. When he made $50,000, losing his job would have been terrible, but his lifestyle was relatively simple. When he made $100,000, losing his job could mean losing the house. The SUV payment wouldn't disappear. The insurance wouldn't disappear. The children's expenses wouldn't disappear. The subscriptions wouldn't disappear. The mortgage wouldn't disappear. The lifestyle had become dependent on the income. And suddenly, the higher salary didn't just give Michael more money, it gave him more things that required the money to keep coming. That's a very different kind of wealth. This is why some high earners feel trapped. They aren't necessarily poor. They have good jobs. They have nice homes. They have cars. They take vacations. They may even have retirement accounts. From the outside, everything looks successful, but internally, they know something is wrong. Because every month has become a race. Paycheck arrives. Mortgage gets paid. Car payment gets paid. Credit cards get paid. Childcare gets paid. Childcare gets paid. Utilities get paid. Groceries get paid. Subscriptions get paid. Insurance gets paid. And then whatever remains gets saved. If anything remains. That's the trap. Saving becomes the leftover instead of the priority. Michael once received a $10,000 raise. He thought it would change everything. He imagined finally building his emergency fund, increasing his retirement contributions, maybe investing more. But after taxes, the extra income wasn't as large as he expected. Then his wife suggested they finally replace their old living room furniture. They had been talking about it for years, so they bought it. Then Michael upgraded his phone. Then they booked a better vacation. Then their son started an expensive activity. Then their insurance premiums increased. And suddenly, the $10,000 raise was gone. Not wasted, just absorbed. That word matters. Absorbed. Lifestyle inflation doesn't always look like reckless spending. Sometimes it looks like your life becoming slightly more comfortable every year until the extra income disappears completely. And then comes the most dangerous sentence in personal finance. We'll save more later. After the next promotion. After the mortgage gets smaller. After the kids get older. After daycare ends. After the next bonus. After the next raise. But later has a way of moving. Michael kept thinking his financial life would become easier once he earned more. But earning more didn't solve the problem. Because the problem wasn't only income. It was that his expenses had learned how to grow with his income. Now imagine something different. Imagine Michael receives another $10,000 raise. Instead of upgrading his lifestyle immediately, he makes one decision. He keeps his lifestyle almost exactly the same. Maybe he uses part of the raise to improve his life. But the rest goes automatically toward investments. He never sees it. He never gets used to spending it. His lifestyle doesn't grow by the same amount as his income. After several years, something powerful happens. His salary increases. His investments increase. His emergency fund increase. His emergency fund increases. His options increase. But his monthly obligations don't increase at the same speed. And suddenly, his income isn't just paying for his lifestyle. It's buying his freedom. That's the difference. The goal isn't to live miserably. This isn't about refusing every vacation. It's not about driving an old car forever. It's not about never buying a bigger house. It's not about feeling guilty for enjoying your money. Money is supposed to improve your life. The problem begins when every increase in income automatically creates a permanent increase in expenses. Because expenses are sticky, you can increase your lifestyle in one afternoon, but reducing it later is painful. Try selling the expensive house. Try getting rid of the car. Try canceling the expensive family vacation tradition. Try telling your children that the lifestyle they grew up with is changing. That's why lifestyle inflation can become a trap. It is easy to enter and difficult to reverse. There's another psychological problem with earning $100,000. Comparison. When you earn $50,000, you may compare yourself to people earning $60,000. When you earn $100,000, you may start comparing yourself to people earning $150,000, then $200,000, then $300,000, and suddenly you don't feel rich. You feel behind. You see someone with a newer house, a better car, a nicer vacation, a larger investment account, a more expensive neighborhood, and without realizing it, you start upgrading your own lifestyle to keep up. That's when a six-figure salary becomes dangerous. Not because $100,000 is too little, but because there is always another level of enough. Michael eventually asked himself a question he had never asked before. Not, how much more can I earn? But, how much of my income do I actually need to live the life I want? That question changed everything, because if your lifestyle requires every dollar you earn, then a higher salary doesn't necessarily make you freer. It may simply make you more expensive to maintain. But if you can live comfortably on less than you earn, the difference becomes powerful. That difference can become an emergency fund, a retirement account, an investment portfolio, a debt-free future, a career change, a sabbatical, a business, or simply the ability to sleep at night without worrying about the next paycheck. Think about what financial freedom actually means. It's not necessarily driving a luxury car. It's not having the biggest house in the neighborhood. It's not eating at expensive restaurants every weekend. It's not proving to other people that you've succeeded. Financial freedom is having choices. If your boss treats you badly, you can leave. If your company restructures, you can survive. If the market falls, you don't panic. If your roof needs repairs, you don't need a credit card. If your child needs help, you can help. If you want to take 3 months away from work, you can consider it. That's freedom. And freedom comes from margin. The strange thing is, you can make $100,000 a year and have almost no margin, and you can make $70,000 and have much more. Because income is only one side of the equation. The other side is what you've committed your future income to: mortgage, cars, debt, subscriptions, lifestyle, expectations. Those commitments determine how much of your paycheck is actually yours. And that is why the $100,000 salary can become a trap. You finally reach the number you thought would make you rich, only to discover that your lifestyle has been waiting for you there. So what should you do if you're already caught in the trap? You don't need to sell everything. You don't need to move into a tiny apartment. You don't need to stop enjoying life. Start smaller. Look at the last 12 months of spending. Not the last week. Not your best month, not your worst month. Look at the entire year. Find the expenses that became permanent, the subscriptions you forgot about, the upgrades you stopped noticing, the payments that automatically leave your account. Then ask, if I received a $10,000 raise tomorrow, what would I do with it? If the answer is immediately, a bigger house, a better car, a more expensive vacation. That's useful information, because it tells you where your money is likely to go next. Then try something different. Make a rule. Every time your income increases, your lifestyle doesn't get the entire increase. Maybe you keep 20%, maybe 30%, maybe 30%, maybe 50%. The exact number isn't the point. The point is to create a gap between earning more and spending more. That gap is where wealth grows. And the earlier you create it, the more powerful it becomes. Because your 30s aren't just about how much money you make. They're about what kind of financial life your income is building. Michael eventually realized something that changed the way he viewed his salary. The $100,000 wasn't the prize. It was an opportunity. An opportunity to stop living like every raise needed to become another expense. An opportunity to turn income into assets. An opportunity to buy future freedom instead of simply buying a more expensive present. And that doesn't mean he stopped enjoying his money. He still took vacations. He still enjoyed restaurants. He still bought things he wanted. But now he made one distinction. He stopped asking, "Can I afford this?" and started asking, "Is this worth permanently increasing my cost of living?" That's a much harder question, but it's also a much better one. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The most dangerous lifestyle isn't necessarily the one that looks extravagant. It's the one that looks completely normal, but requires every paycheck to maintain. A big mortgage, 2 cars, private activities, frequent vacations, constant upgrades, monthly subscriptions, dining out, and just enough savings to make everything look fine. From the outside, it can look like success. From the inside, it can feel like a treadmill. You keep running. Because if you stop earning, everything starts falling apart. So if you're approaching $100,000, or you've already passed it, don't make the mistake of assuming that the number itself will change your life. It won't. Your decisions will. Your lifestyle will. Your savings rate will. Your ability to resist turning every raise into another permanent expense will. Because the real milestone isn't making $100,000. The real milestone is reaching a point where you no longer need to spend every dollar you make. That's when something changes. Your salary becomes more than income. It becomes leverage. Your raise becomes more than a nicer car. It becomes more options. Your savings become more than a number. They become security. And your investments become more than money. They become time. So the next time you get a raise, don't immediately ask, "What can I buy now?" Ask something different. How much of this raise can I turn into freedom? Because $100,000 won't make you rich if your lifestyle grows to consume $100,000. $150,000 won't make you free if your expenses rise to $150,000. And even $200,000 can leave you trapped if every dollar already belongs to someone else. The goal isn't simply to earn more. The goal is to make sure that when you earn more, you actually keep more. Because someday you may realize that the most valuable thing your 6-figure salary could have bought you wasn't a bigger house. It wasn't a nicer car. It wasn't a more expensive vacation. It was the ability to say, "I don't need the next paycheck to be okay." And that's when you know you finally escaped the $100,000 salary trap.